Attention, please. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Doctors Ken and 10. Today, we are going to talk about all things COVID, okay? COVID news, what's happening with the vaccines, how is it affecting us today, and how will it potentially affect us in the future? First off, we're going to talk about this idea that has been propagated in the media, and that is that Black folks don't want this vaccine. Kendra, Dr. Ken.
When we have our meetings at work, it's like, how can we get our Black and brown people comfortable with actually getting vaccinated? A lot of us still aren't. And we do hear it in the news.
They did a study and they showed that on party lines, Democrats, I think, were 85% pro-vaccine. Either they were going to get it or had already gotten it.
Okay.
Republicans was like 52%.
What?
52%. If you look at kind of the data that's out there, most Black folks are Democrats. And if you look at the numbers, Democrats are 85%. Yes, I am or have gotten the vaccine, whereas Republicans, which are majority white folks, are no. So
I wonder, are these the same people who don't want to wear a mask?
Yes.
So it's kind of not believing that COVID exists.
These are the Trump supporters. I remember Trump was like, it's not a big deal, doesn't really exist, is, go about your business. And they bought into that. And so they're like, I don't need that. And that's why I hated the media running around this whole Tuskegee experiment and Black folks mistrusting the community. I almost felt like it was a conspiracy to get Black folks to not want to get it so they could save it for other people. How many times have you heard of a patient not trusting scientists or medical personnel because of Tuskegee experiment? I ain't never heard nobody talk about Tuskegee. Never, not once. But they'll talk about how they were treated, how they don't like this doctor. He be talking down to me. That's what you hear. Everyday experiences are what guide you to either trusting or mistrusting anybody of authority, particularly someone in medicine or in science. It would have made more sense to say, I don't trust the medical profession or anyone in public health because of the water crisis in Flint, Michigan, right? They said the water was fine. It wasn't. They lied. That makes more sense. Something current. But you're talking about the Tuskegee experiment?
Right.
That ain't why folks don't trust. You don't have to pull back that far. And if you're going to pull back to Tuskegee, well, then pull back to slavery. I mean, it just kind of, to me, negates the fact that Black folks, we have a mind, we are thinking individuals, and we know why we don't trust certain groups of people. Ask us.
Well, I mean, but that is not what's being reported.
To be honest, I think Black folks are one of the most accommodating races there is. And if you explain to us, we are very intelligent. We will sit and ponder and think and philosophize. And, we do that. And we're like, you know what? That does make sense. That's how we think. We don't just go with the crowd necessarily just because you say it so. We actually be thinking about some stuff on some things now,
Right.
And I almost feel like by saying we don't want the vaccine, it minimizes racism. And if you say what it is, which we don't trust because of racism in America, that's why people don't trust the medical profession. Right? Then that means you have to address racism, and people don't want to address it, or white folks don't want to address it. But I still feel like it's still false advertising. I don't believe it's true. From what I've seen in the numbers, is not true. So I don't even want to go down that road of saying Black folks are the ones that we got to get. They don't want to get it. Actually, white folks don't want it either.
We are apprehensive still. I say, listen to the facts, listen to the science, listen to the doctors, the researchers. When it's coming to medical things, know who's the source and know when something is being used in politics. And when medicine and politics are combined, that's when things get really chaotic. Okay, are the kids back in school? What's going on?
The kids are back in school. Most of the teachers and staff are vaccinated, as far as I can ask that.
Good.
And I do want to talk about the fact that children, because they comprise almost 25% of our population, the US population, in order to achieve this herd immunity, how do we get the numbers that we want? We want between 70 and 95%, as close to 95% as we can get. to actually have that herd immunity. So without that 25% that children take up, we're already at a deficit of 75% at best.
Right.
Then you count all the people who are anti-COVID vaccine. Now we're at an even lower percentage of possibility to getting to herd immunity. So the question is, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a tough road to get those anti-vaxxers vaccinated, but can we get the kids vaccinated? So right now, we do know that Pfizer has ongoing trials right now for kids 12 to 16 because their vaccine right now is currently from 16 onto adulthood. So they have those in the works right now. And I think in as soon as 2 months, they'll be offering that vaccine to 12-year-old children. And then Moderna, they're starting trials very soon at youngest 6 months of age.
Now, who's enrolling their 6th month in that program?
So that Yale is working with Moderna, and that's what they're doing.
Bravo. My hat is off to mothers who are allowing their 6-month-old in clinical trials, but I really stress the importance of moms, you get vaccinated so you can give your baby those antibodies, so lactating mothers, pregnant women, ask your doctor, can I get vaccinated?
Are you going to get, let's just say this vaccine goes through, Moderna is doing these trials on 6-month-olds. Are you going to have baby Hart get that vaccine?
Baby Hart is surrounded by adults who are vaccinated. So it's the same thing I tell a pregnant woman, if you are not going to get the vaccination, at least be surrounded by adults who have the vaccine. So all of Hart's primary caretakers are vaccinated. So that's what we're going to go with for now. And I'm being honest.
Okay, but he still gets his regular vaccines, right? Chicken pox, measles, rubella. So why not this one?
Because I need to see the data for this one.
You would risk him getting the post-COVID inflammatory disease as opposed to getting the vaccine to prevent it?
Well, because of his age, because he's so young. But if he was older, if he was perhaps, teenager, even 11, 12, then I would be open for it because he'll be going to school. He'll be surrounded by other people. But I think him being only 22 months, he's not going to school. I think that in that case, you can do risk, benefits, and alternatives. And at this point in time, I'll take the alternative.
All right.
Okay, I took the alternative route, Brittany. You tried to back me up into that corner. What about your kids?
Oh, well, for my kids, I plan on having them get the vaccine. If, first you have to look at the data and see what it shows. And if it shows that it's safe and effective, then weighing their risk benefit, they go to school, they are outside with kids, they're out and about. And so I don't want to take the chance of them developing that multi-organ inflammatory disease that we're seeing, though it's rare with kids who have gotten COVID. I don't want them to go through that. So if they can be protected from that, then yes, I want them to get the vaccine. Speaking of data, Johnson & Johnson was recently pulled and then put back into the market. Their vaccine showed that out of 1 million people, there were 5 cases of blood clots in a very rare spot in the brain. So they were pulled, investigated, and then put back on the market saying that, nope, it's fine. This is kind of the natural progression or the natural number of how many people would get blood clots, whether there was a vaccine or not.
And these blood clots, it's cerebral vein thrombosis. And as an OBGYN, we do see that. So the blood clot, in your brain. And, you see this, in reproductive age women. And so Johnson & Johnson did not give us the medical history of the women that got affected by cerebral vein thrombosis. But, when you hear, numbers like 7 million got vaccinated and only 6 people had bad reactions to something, you got to think about the numbers here. And so these women probably, we don't know where they were on the whole peripartum process, meaning we don't know if they were just postpartum. We don't know if they're breastfeeding, if they're on birth control, but all these things add to getting blood clots. And so we don't know if these same women would have got blood clots anyway, or if that Johnson & Johnson's vaccine is directly related. But even if it is directly related, it's still not enough to hold back a vaccine that's one shot. Okay, a lot of people don't like taking shots. So Johnson & Johnson is perfect for you. It's just one shot. And the numbers are high as far as the decrease in hospitalization, decrease of death. It's in the 80s and 90s percentile.
I still think that J&J is still a good vaccine. You know, they created the Ebola virus, countless other medications that we use today. Just think about, you know, people that are homeless, or you don't have to worry about follow-up. It's a great vaccine.
Love it. You know, people who don't even have an address, don't really have a regular doctor, don't have transportation, especially if you're fairly healthy, you know, you don't need the efficacy of like the Moderna and Pfizer to be 95 or 94% effective. Usually we don't get the play-by-play of the detail of what's happening with medications and clinical trials. But with COVID, that's what everybody wants to hear. So you're going to hear rare occurrences of something. So to take it away completely off the market after more than 7 million people got vaccinated and had no issue, that's kind of, you know, that'll be kind of crazy. But I understand the fear.
So there's other reasons why this is a great vaccine. As long as it's safe and effective, it's a great vaccine to have in the mix of the Pfizer and the Modernas.
Well, you know what? That's our COVID vaccine update. You know, drop your questions, inbox us. Are you going to let your children get vaccinated? Brittany will. Okay, anyway, until next time.
Doses.
Baby Heart is a crybaby. All he does is cry now, girl.
Boys cry constantly.
Really? Oh my God. Because my mom said that me and Nina wasn't like that. Hence the word crybaby. I get it now.
It's all about the data. Like, bitch, I'm never